Hey, what's up everybody? Josh here, and today we're going to be talking about Mercenary Kings. Now this recently became free for PlayStation Plus subscribers, so I downloaded it on the PS4, thought I'd check it out, and was pretty happy about it. So here's what I thought of Mercenary Kings.
Mercenary Kings!
The first thing that you'll notice about Mercenary Kings is it's got a really charmingly retro aesthetic. It's got kind of the 16-bit graphics thing going on, not too dissimilar to the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World game that came out a couple of years ago, and it really wears a lot of its influences on its sleeve. You'll see some, it clearly looks like Metal Slug or Contra, but at the same time, it's got a lot of other neat little nods in there to, games like, let's see, Mega Man, you see references to Metal Gear in there. There's just a lot of weird little, just kind of nods to other games of the period that I think that they really tried to work in, and it works really well. And it's not just the visuals that are really stunning about this game, even though it is hyper-violent and it has no qualms of displaying blood and gore in its kind of 16-bit pixelated glory. But as far as the music goes, it's really solid as well. It's all chiptunes. It very much sounds like Anna Monoguchi could have done the soundtrack for this just like they did Scott Pilgrim. And the entire presentation is really solid in that regard. Even though it looks and feels kind of a lot like Contra or Metal Slug, the comparison should probably stop there. And the reason that I say that is because it's a different type of game. For starters, you don't just run and gun through one level after another, but rather you operate from like a home base which serves as kind of your hub. From there you can choose what missions you want to take on and do things like craft new weapons, or you can, talk to a helicopter pilot to drop you into whatever your next mission will be. And the fact that the missions can be kind of time-based actually provides a lot of incentive for replay, it seems like. Also, you don't really have infinite ammo. Well, you do, but it's kind of got an active reload system very similar to Gears of War, where you kind of have to time your reload and get it just perfect to get a little bit of an extra bump, which is a little bit jarring for a 2D game, but it still manages to work somehow for the most part. Now, one thing I will say about it is there's obviously a lot of platforming elements here, but they don't always work really well. And one of the biggest problems that I have with Mercenary Kings is the jumping just feels sticky, is the best way I can explain it. It doesn't feel fluid. It kind of feels like you're kind of stuck, like there's gum on the bottom of your shoe or something, whenever you land in place and then try to jump again, which is not very enjoyable. It just isn't. And especially when we've been just completely, kind of spoiled by, very fluid 2D platformers for years and years, and now we've got just, these gorgeous candy-coated games that have very fluid, jumping mechanics for platforming. It just doesn't work very well. At least it didn't for me. It's not that you can't adjust to it, it's just one of those minor gripes that kind of gets in the way. Another thing I really didn't like about it is there were some questionable enemy behaviors. It's like the AI isn't quite all the way developed, and I caught a few instances in the early levels of the game where it just seems like they're not the brightest, and it doesn't help much that they respawn constantly. Of course, whenever you make time, kind of your enemy in the game where you have a certain time limit to complete a mission, I guess it makes sense that they would have to have respawning enemies, but it still feels like kind of a holdover from, older days of gaming when the medium was less mature that really shouldn't be here, and yet it still is. So yes, Mercenary Kings has style for days, but there are some weird design decisions that kind of hold it back a little bit. At least that's my first impression. I'll probably go back and play it a little bit more just to see if there's anything else to it, but for the most part, I'm probably going to keep spending time with Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes to get ready for Phantom Pain, because I really dig stealth action. That's probably what's going to be eating up a lot of my time. But, as a free offering for PlayStation Plus subscribers, I wasn't going to not download it, and having spent a little time with it, it's good. There's just a few little problems that hold it back for me and doesn't make it my cup of tea necessarily. So, what do you think of Mercenary Kings? Am I being too harsh on the mechanics, or do you think that, my criticisms are justified? Let me know in the comments below, and also, what's the next big thing that you are waiting for on the PlayStation 4? I'm going to bet that it's Watch Dogs for a lot of you, but hey, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Later.